people talk about breath work like it's supposed to be this all-encompassing thing. And it's one of those phrases that doesn't really mean very much because you don't know what the person is talking about. You can have breath work to recover in between exercise bouts. You can have breath work to calm yourself down. You can have breath work that's traditional, sort of like meditative type practices. And you can have breath work to help people with anxiety. There's so many different versions of you can have breath work to calm yourself down. And so the categories that I've been thinking about, the first is something I call awareness breath work, where it's pretty much just about interoception, as in figuring out and feeling how the breath feels. And it's about feeling what's happening, because once you tune into that sense, it's like layer one of mindfulness. It's like layer one of building some presence. Now, what is that practice when you taught me years ago when you have trouble sleeping?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That, but then like a slightly more advanced version of that, where you lie down and then you like gradually get parts of your body to relax.
Progressive muscle relaxation.
Progressive muscle relaxation. So I kind of look like I kind of look at awareness breath work similar to progressive muscle relaxation, where the whole point of it is to tune in to your body. And once you do that, then you stop thinking about all the other bullshit that you don't need to be thinking about for, what you're trying to do right now. The second layer of breath work is centering breath work. It's stuff that helps us settle and pause. And maybe the feeling is like to return to yourself. And this would be something that calms you down, like the cyclic sigh or the physiological sigh, that sort of thing, or a double length exhale. So 4 counts in through the nose and 8 counts out. And usually when you extend the exhale longer than the inhale, it calms you down. And usually at this level, when you breathe in through the nose, it calms you down. And when you breathe in and out through the nose, it calms you down. And when you breathe in and out through the mouth, it tends to amp you up. Those aren't like set rules, but when you're just learning, like that's a helpful frame to have. And then I think the next layer below that is coherent breath work. And this one, there's a good amount of research on as well. The centering breath work, like the cyclic sigh, physiological sigh, box breathing, there's some research on that. For the coherent breathing stuff, it's literally called coherent breathing, and it's resonant breathing. There's some research by the heart math people, but also you can just go on Spotify and you search coherent breathing, and there are some playlists, and it's basically 5.5 seconds in, 5.5 seconds out. And the playlists go in a certain rhythm, and you just breathe according to that rhythm. And it has been shown to just get you to central nervous system state of neutral. Just chill. And so you can use it when you are too low and you want to come back to neutral, or you can use it when you're too high and you want to come down to neutral. It's like the simplest form of breathing. And it can be a little bit boring, but if you give it like 5 minutes, you can really feel the effects of it. And so it's about rhythm and resonance and steadiness. So we got awareness breath work, we got centering breath work, we got coherent breath work. And then the next layer is energizing breath work. So in the yoga tradition, you have stuff like breath of fire, but in a practical setting, it's the kind of thing that I do at 3:30 p.m. when I don't want to have another coffee, but I want to get my energy up for whatever task is at hand, where you utilize more rapid and more inhale heavy breathing techniques to amp your energy up. And this one is when I teach people breathwork and I do breathwork workshops, this is the stuff that people feel the most because you feel it very quickly. And then I think below that, we have resilience type breathwork, where you would use this, like there's a system of breathwork developed by this Russian scientist, Buteyko, who is kind of the basis for this whole system called oxygen advantage, which I've studied as well. And resilience breathwork is about training yourself to get better at tolerating CO2. So CO2 tolerance is one of the things that is linked to your stress resilience, basically. And a lot of the breathwork practices that you do, especially the more advanced ones in this resilience breathwork sort of category, it's about training your body to be okay and your nervous system to be okay when you're pretty low oxygen and pretty high CO2. And you just sort of retrain your body to be like, oh, it's okay that I'm here. And, hard exercise already does it for you. And it's one of the reasons why hard exercise is good for people with anxiety. There's research on this as well. When you have panic disorder, and you do 2 weeks with this, there's a couple of papers, but one of the pilot studies, maybe 2022, was if you do 2 weeks of every other day, like 20 minutes of high intensity interval training, which is just really like get really out of breath and move really fast, and be very active for, I think it's like 30 seconds, and then you chill out for 30 to 60 seconds, and you repeat it for 20 minutes. It was something like a 40% drop in panic attack frequency in people with severe panic disorder after just 2 weeks of doing this type of training, right? So I think this is me trying to add my spin on it. I think part of the reason why the hard exercise works so well for this is it gets us more comfortable with the low oxygen, high CO2 states, and that in some ways translates to, okay, when I'm out there and something happens in the world and I get a stress response, now I'm not so scared of it. Now I'm not thinking like, oh no, high heart rate means I'm going to panic. I'm not thinking, oh, I'm out of breath, I'm going to panic. I can hang. So awareness breath work, centering breath work, coherent breath work, energizing breath work, resilience breath work, and then sledgehammer breath work. And sledgehammer breath work in the research is called conscious connected breathing. And these are 20, 30, 40, 50-minute long, 90-minute long. I've done like 3-hour long sessions of this type of breath work in training, where the physiological effects that you feel are akin to psychedelic effects that people get when they do these therapies that are now studied with psilocybin or whatever. And it's talked about in the research, like you get a percentage of that effect, obviously without the drugs. And having experienced this stuff before, it really does feel like a sledgehammer. It feels like brute force sort of access into maybe the word is your subconscious, or maybe the patterns that are going on in the background, or, it exposes feelings and maybe things from your history that needed to come to the surface that you have not spent enough time thinking about. It seems to have that sort of effect. It makes you face some stuff that you've been having trouble to face. And in this sledgehammer breathwork, there's like the Wim Hof stuff is like sort of the starter pack for that. And then there's conscious connected breathing, there's holotropic breathing. There's so many different styles of this like really long breathwork, these really long breathwork practices that have the similar effect of sort of cracking you open and exposing. And I am on the fence about teaching sledgehammer type breathwork online. Everything else, all the stuff before that, I feel like it can be done virtually. But with the sledgehammer stuff, because it's so sort of brute force, if you're not there to help someone through it and now they have all this like, emotional stuff being exposed, I don't know how much of a risk it is, but it just doesn't quite feel right for me at this point in life. So awareness breathwork, centering breathwork, coherent breathwork, energizing breathwork, resilience breathwork, and sledgehammer breathwork. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes. It's pretty simple to follow.
Nice.
I think the awareness breath work and the interceptive could kind of be...
Yeah, I talked about it like
similar.
two separate things, but here I have it written as the same thing.
Yeah.
It shows how well prepared I am. Yeah, I agree. It feels like the same thing. It feels like the same thing. And I don't know where to take it from here. It's not like we need to figure this out on this call, but I'm trying to figure out a way.
Not in a call.
Sorry, on this podcast, I feel like I want to categorize these so practitioners like you have even more language to dose depending on what the situation is, right? And I feel like the breathwork community is like super woo-woo and like spiritual on one side, and then super sciencey and technical on the other side, and all of it is cool. And
I think it would be good if it was structured in a way that labels it so you know what the tool is for. So it's almost behavioral, right?
Yeah.
I think the ones that, is very clear, right? It helps you energize, or it helps you calm down, or it helps you access things that you haven't been able to take a good look at or you're fearful of, right? Like those are very clear what it can be used as.
I agree. And I think the sort of lighter layer than that, we can also use the awareness and the centering breath work, the box breathing, or double length exhale, or the physiological sigh, to as a practical tool, someone who is battling with anxiety can use, or someone that is going through a particularly stressful time and they need to calm their shit down before they go into this meeting. I think the energizing breath work works very well as well. I have been thinking about how to dose it for when people are trying to sleep as well, and they're just having difficulty there. I guess depending on the profile of the person and whatever they're going through, I would pick a different one of these breathwork categories to apply there.
And also people connect with different practices differently. Some people are far more audio. Some people need it to be somewhat physical, like actually doing. Some people can be more into the senses. So how it feels in my body as I'm doing it. Some people are very conscious about music or sound, right? So it will help them get into the practice more or less.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and it's helped me answer a question that I've had in my mind, which is I'm trying to think about, right now I've taught people like a category at a time, or a mix and match of it if they just have 1 hour or they just need a tool now. And I was thinking before this, would I want the system to be like, you have to start with awareness breath work and then centering breath work and then coherent breath work? But I think the answer is no. I think it's whatever tool serves you now. Let's just start there. Yeah, I think so.
Whatever tool you need for that moment of what you're struggling with.
Yeah. Would you like to do some?
Yeah.
Or later?
I don't mind doing a energizing one.
Really?
Yeah, I'm tired.